Hi again folks, how's all doing? Here we have an old Hornby Dublo 264 tank engine that was sent to me by a chap called Phil. He says it just won't run very well at all. He fitted a neodymium magnet, but no, still doesn't run well. So let's turn on the power. That's full power. Yeah, we won't stress it. Try it in reverse. Full power. So yeah, that's not good. It's pulling about 500 milliamps on the meter, but let's get this old girl into the shed and see what's what. Right then, it's been a while since I looked at an old Dublo model. It'll make a nice change from some of the fiddly-piddly nonsense I've had to do lately. So let's have a look at this. It's got the usual chips to the paintwork. Oh, that cylinder's loose. Get the endoscope in here. Looks like we've had some repair work done there, and that's melted through. That pickup's not quite touching that wheel. That's all easy sorted. This buffer's clearly had an impact. Phil did say that he's put a neodymium magnet in this and it still wouldn't run, but I've got the original magnet here, so I can put that back in and remagnetize it. I'm not necessarily against neodymiums. I know some people throw their hands up in horror at the things, but you know, if you don't have a remagnetizer or don't have access to someone who does, then a neodymium is sometimes your only option, really. But let's not get into all that. Right, let's get this open and see what we're dealing with. Let's get the front bogie off. There we go. There's a great big screw in here. Great big screw to release the body. The screw's a bit loose. Let's say Phil has been in here to mess around with the magnet. So what we got, so there's the neodymium magnet, but we'll get that out and put the original one back in. Just looking into the commutator here, it's a bit of fluffage, and I can see there's a lot of gunk in the slots. What I've found with these old Dublo models is that the commutator and brushes need to be kept clean. They really don't like being dirty. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if that's all that's wrong with this. It's just gunk and oil in the commutator and brushes. They just don't like it. It's also possible the armature's done. I'll get the rear bogie off as well. And we'll get all the screws into the sonic cleaner, get them all cleaned up, along with the brushes and the springs. So the cylinder's held on with this rivet. You can see it's loose. So I'll maybe see if I can release this screw, get this out, and put this on in my makeshift anvil and give it a dunt with a hammer just to tighten that rivet up. But what we want to do is get this armature out and the brushes out. So pull that out. One spring. Is the brush going to come out? No. Yeah, see, I think they're gunked up. Springs. Yeah. Let's release this top bearing. Is the ball bearing in there? I think so. Yes, the ball bearing is in there. Get that out. Neodymium that size has got a hell of a strength to it. Pull that off, that off. Oh, sometimes these armatures take a bit of manoeuvring to get out of there, but that just fell right out. Okay, so we'll give the commutator a bit of a scoosh and a rub of the cotton bud just to give it a wee clean. And we'll do a continuity test on it just to see if the armature's okay. Measures 10 and 10. Yep, the armature's okay, so that's good news. Right, just giving these slots a good scrape out because there's a lot of rubbish in there. These are the dirtiest commutator slots I've seen. Good scoosh. I'm going over with a Mankey brush. I'm not going to need to take T-cut to this commutator. It's pretty clean. There we go. That'll do me. We'll let that evaporate off. Let's have a look under here. Right, okay, that all looks alright. We just need to rebend this pickup wire a bit. Oh, that solder's come off. So that wire's come off the pickup. Big blob of solder there as well. We'll need to try and resolder that on. But let's just get that out just now. That lets me see into the axles, which seem not too bad. We'll give them a scoosh out. Just to wow. Trying to see if the ball bearing's in that bottom bearing there. Yes, it is. That's fine. Still to get the brushes out of this thing. There's one. There's the other. Clean out these tubes. You want to make sure these are nice and clean so the brushes move nice and freely. You don't want the brushes getting stuck and not making good contact with the commutator. Just stick that back in there just now. Right. So all my metal bits and bobs are going to go in the sonic cleaner along with the brushes. I wonder if I can get this little ball bearing out of here. Here it is. There's a little ball bearing. Just keep that safe. Never pick these ball bearings up with tweezers. I've found that to my cost. Because tweezers can just ping them away. Better with your fingers. Right, I'll get that into there. Right, let's undo this and see if we can do something about this cylinder. Right, we've got a screw and a nut there. Right, okay. Okay, it's getting near a beer o'clock. I'm going to get my metal bits and bobs into the sonic cleaner and we'll have a think about this cylinder. There must be a solution. So I've been having a think about what to do with this loose piston to tighten up this rivet. Now, you know, the way to tighten a rivet would be to put a punch on top and put it on top of something hard and go at it with a hammer. But I don't really fancy doing that. Yeah, I mean, there's a risk of splitting the rivet head. You know, it could just make things worse. So I think what I'm going to do is just try and jam this up somehow, because there's a bit of play in this whole thing. And I think if I can wedge something in here, it'll keep it all tight. And I think once again, cable ties are going to come to the rescue. This is a bit of a small cable tie. So I think if we pop that into the front, where's my tweezers? Pop that into there. Get it on its side. This is going to be a bit fiddly. Right, so you can see I've got that little bit of cable tie in there. So that should now kind of jam that in. Like that. And now that is nice and tight. Tighten that up, good and tight. And there we go. It'll still move, but it's not wiggling about. Right, happy with that. You can maybe see there that that's quite badly bent in the way, and so is that one. I don't like messing about with rods on Dublo models because if you break one of these little rivets, you're kind of done for. That looks better. Yeah, that's moving much freer. Get some oil into the axles. Just check the movement of this now. Perfect. We'll snip that blob of solder off. Solder it again. Right, let's try that. That's better. So the pickups are maintaining contact with the wheels. Right, okay. I'll get the motor installed. I need to get some moly grease. Get some moly grease down in that bottom bearing. That, and then we'll get some in there, and we'll need to put the little ball bearing back in. And here we go. Maybe just give it a wee bit more grease just to make sure. Push it in. Put the armature in. We want a little bit of movement in the armature, but not too much. I forgot to grease the worm gear. Idiot. Normally there's, quite a bit of curvature on the brushes where they've been worn against the commutator, but no, I think these brushes are relatively new. So I won't worry too much about how they fit against the commutator. Right, okay, we'll need to get this into the remagnetizer. So there like that, and give it a blast. That'll do it. Screw it in place. Now, something I haven't come across before is a shunt plate for the magnet. I think the idea was you could finely adjust the position of the magnet and it would affect slow running or something. I don't quite understand how that would work. I'm not sure there's any point in fitting this whatsoever, But we'll bung it in. Just keep the model complete. Yeah, shunt plate in. Completely useless in my opinion. Right, okay. Let's see if this actually runs. Right, is it going to run? Yep. Now just give the body a going over with a dusty brush. I think it's going to need a wee bit of a wash in places. So just soap and water. Just to get some of the grime off. Decades of dirt. It would be worth touching up the paint actually, just along the edges. But I'm always wary of doing that to someone else's model because, you know, sometimes all these little chips are just part of its history. So I think we'll just leave it alone. Alright, there we go. Let's go and pull it out of the shed. Okay, let's bring her out. So there we go, that's Phil's old Dublo 4MT running again with its original magnet. It's always fun to work on these old models. The most important thing with these old locomotives is cleanliness. The commutator and brushes must be clean or it simply won't work properly. Also make sure that the wheels turn effortlessly and the rods aren't bent or rubbing at all. And also watch the pressure of the brushes on the commutator. They're very sensitive to the brushes being either, pressing too hard against the commutator if the springs are overstretched or something, or if they're not pressing hard enough against the commutator. You'll get very inconsistent running as a result. More often than not, the magnet will need remagnetised with these to ensure it doesn't run too hot, but there's no getting away from the fact that these old motors are nowhere near as efficient as modern motors, and these models will never run as well, especially at slow speeds. The speed can be quite inconsistent, so they tend to want to run a little bit faster. This pulls around 400 milliamps, and anything under 600 milliamps is normal with these. But they will vary from model to model. Every Dublo model has its own character. So cable ties came to the rescue yet again in jamming that cylinder to stop it wiggling about. It would have been fine as it was, but I just don't like things being loose when they shouldn't be. Right, I shall get this packed up and sent back to Phil. And yes, the late gnome has been at it again. A healing coup on the jet roof and a goose on one of the tables in the Gnome's Legs beer garden. And also trying to recreate the cave of Caer Banog. Need to scatter some bones there, I think. Righto folks, catch yous later.